You made some news the other day with signing the non-cooperation agreements with ICE into law in your state. Explain why.
Well, because it's really about, I don't think that ICE should have the ability to deputize our local law enforcement to do the job of immigration. I'm very clear that our local law enforcement will continue working with federal officials when it comes to violent criminals, when it comes to rapists and murderers and pedophiles, etc. But our local law enforcement are very well trained, and they're accountable. And what we're seeing right now from this new variation of ICE is that we are deploying people into neighborhoods who are untrained and who are unaccountable. And I do not want to subject local law enforcement, who I believe in and are doing a remarkable job driving down violent crime in my state. I do not want them to be deputized to work for a law enforcement agency that has now gone from $10 billion annual funding to $85 billion in annual funding without measures of accountability that's attached to that.
There's a lot of discussion about your personal future, as you know, and where you may go from here politically. I know you're not going to break any news on 2028, but this is going to be an issue that's going to be talked about. And there's some within your party who are calling for abolishing ICE. Whoever ends up being the presidential candidate for the Democrats in 2028, do you think they should support abolishing ICE?
No, I think when you're looking at what is happening with ICE right now, there's not a alignment between what the organization's intent is and what's actually happening within society, where we are watching now what is the 13th largest military force by funding in the world. I mean, ICE right now is bigger in funding than the FBI. It's bigger than the ATF. It's bigger.
What's the daylight between abolish ICE and sort of what you did in Maryland?
Well, no, I think there needs to be accountability for all of the agencies. And I've been very clear. Public safety is my #1 priority. I mean, it's the reason that in Maryland we've had the largest drop, amongst the largest drop in violent crime anywhere in the United States of America. Since I became the governor, violent crime is down nearly 50% in the state of Maryland. We know how to deal with violent crime in the state of Maryland, and it's because we have great local law enforcement who are accountable, who are trained, and who actually work with the community. And there is a disconnect right now between that type of local constitutional policing and what we are seeing from ICE.
It's tax time. We're actually right across the street from the IRS. We're not far down the road. There was a recent poll that showed give or roughly 6 in 10 in your state believe that they are paying too much in taxes. And there's a conversation about affordability, cost of living, and all that. We're seeing your colleague, Governor Hochul, in New York with a pretty interesting conversation with Zohran Mamdani, the New York City mayor, on whether to tax the rich or to raise property taxes there, potentially in the city. Who do you think has it right? How do you view this issue?
Well, I mean, I look at what we've done in the state of Maryland, where we have now, this is the 4th budget that I've introduced since being governor, that is a balanced budget. And if you look at the budget we have for this year, it has 8% in the rainy day fund, and a very healthy 8% rainy day fund. We don't raise taxes nor fees on the people of the state of Maryland. And we continue having a general fund, which is smaller than the year before. Every year since I've been the governor, I've actually decreased the size of the general fund. So basically saying in Maryland, we need to learn how to do more with less. And so I just...
Should Mamdani take up that sort of do more with less?
Well, I think if you look at what's happening in Maryland, I think that is an example of what I believe in, right? What I believe in is that you need to be both fiscally disciplined, but also making sure that the people of your state can have big aspirations. But I just don't think you need to choose between those two things.
Let me leave you with this, because as I mentioned, you've been in the news a lot and involving President Trump. We're right down the road from Maryland. A lot of your constituents live here. You're a governor of a major state. What do you believe your responsibility is to work with the current president of the United States and to push back when you feel that you need to? How do you view that balance?
Well, my obligation, and what I've always told the people of my state, is that I will work with anybody. If you just look at the past, a couple weeks ago, I actually helped to lead a delegation of both Democratic and Republican governors to the White House to talk about PJM and our regional grid operator. And we called for a 2-year cap on energy prices, and they came back and have given a 4-year cap on energy prices. So we have shown I will work with anybody. 97% of the legislation that I've introduced as governor that's been passed has been bipartisan in the way it's been passed. But I won't bow to anybody. And I think what is happening, whenever I see attacks on our state, whenever I see attacks on our people, that I'm a soldier by training. I'm going to defend my people. And that is the thing, and that's the ethos that I always will take when it comes to defending Marylanders.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.